What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
Today we're talking about Fallout 4.
All right.
Let's do it. I'm Charles C.
I'm TJ.
And welcome to our first installment in our new freestyle series, What's Up, Bro? This is a show where we basically just talk about what's going on, media-wise, video games, movies, television, anything out there, and our opinions on them. It's kind of like honest thoughts, but in real time.
So we're both really pumped for this, and today we're going to talk about Fallout 4.
Got a little list here of some like checkpoints, some pinpoints, different subjects about the game, and just what we're going to talk about. So we're going to go through it one by one and give our opinions. Hope you guys enjoy it. So point number one on the list, one of the most controversial changes that Bethesda has brought to Fallout, a voice protagonist. I touched on this a little bit in my honest thoughts on the topic. If you want to check out that video, there will be a link in the description and probably on the notification screen after this. And I gave a few of my opinions, so why don't we start off with you, TJ? What do you think of the inclusion of a voice protagonist in Fallout?
Right, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem either way, though. So this one doesn't really get me going. It doesn't put me off. I think it'll be cool in a way for telling some more story, getting some more lore in there. Maybe a little bit more background of the guy that you're playing. Hopefully, I guess, without coloring the way you play the character, because I know all of us love to play him in a certain way, myself included. I like to be a hero.
Little shout out to Mr. Matty Plays. I was actually watching him talk about the subject. One of the concerns that he brought up, and I think it's a pretty valid concern, even though I like the idea of a voice protagonist, what he said is that in Bethesda games, since the characters don't talk and you're just reading the lines, you always know exactly what the character's saying. So having a voice protagonist, kind of Bioshock, kind of BioWare style, that can almost take away from that because you're not exactly sure what they're saying. It could look like they're going to say one type of thing on screen, and it could register in your head completely different how it's actually going to come out. So,
okay,
what do you think of that?
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. But as long as the player choice is still there, I think that's what really would matter to me.
Yeah, I guess really what's important to me is just as long as you can kind of put your thumbprint on the game, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I like the idea of being able to just play it the way you want to play it, and as long as it serves, ultimately with any kind of changes that they make, as long as it serves to make it more immersive and make it more just entice player freedom and player interaction, as long as it works towards all of that and doesn't discourage it or work against it in any way, it's fine by me. It can only be good. It can only be better from there, right?
Yeah, as long as it's good voice acting.
Are you kind of bummed out that they only have one voice for both the male and the female? Or do you wish that there was maybe the option
I guess
to choose?
I guess if you're gonna go for it, you should go for it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a change that big, go all the way and give us choices. I've played other games with voice packs, and so that is a cool option. But again, since for me that's not a big selling point or a big detractor, it doesn't bother me all that much. It's just on the level of being an idealist. If you're gonna do it, let's go for it. Do it all the way.
At first I was kind of thinking man, why didn't they go for that? Because even when I played a lot of BioWare games, when I played Dragon Age Inquisition, for example, that was one of my bigger criticisms with it, was that there was only a handful of voices to choose from, 2 per gender actually in that game. So at first I saw this, I'm like, that's really cool, why didn't you guys add more? But one of my thoughts is trying to keep the consistency of quality. If you have the one voice actor or actress for that one part, then it's always going to be just as consistently good. You're not going to have to choose a voice based off of, oh, well, I like the way this one sounds, but this guy over here gives better deliverance. Keep in mind, all these points that we're touching on today, feel free to leave a comment below talking about any of them. We'd love to see what you guys have. So here's one that's going to be a little bit more controversial. Pre-ordering Fallout 4. TJ, do you think that this is a title that should be pre-ordered? How do you feel about pre-orders in general?
I feel like if I had realized about the Pip-Boy edition, I missed the boat on that somehow. If I had realized that was going to happen, I would have, even though that's way more than I'll usually pay for a game.
Yeah.
Now that chance is passed, I'm not going to pre-order.
Yeah.
There's really no reason. So I'll be probably downloading it off of Steam, and so I don't even need to worry about even getting a copy. It's just going to be there.
With me, since I'm going to be doing the console version review, and I knew Andy was going to be getting it on PS4 anyway, and I probably will wind up getting it on both, but I figured that for this one, since we kind of already, I mean, Bethesda's been pretty upfront about how they're, what their game's going to be like, and what they're going for with it. That's more than we can say for a lot of titles we've seen recently. So I actually kind of feel comfortable pre-ordering with them, first of all, even though I usually wouldn't advise pre-ordering for just about anything. But I also half expect that this one is going to be one of those games that the physical copy, the console versions are going to be kind of harder to get at first because everyone's going to be piling in to grab them. I kind of expect that for this one, and that's really the only reason why you should ever pre-order anyway. So for this one case, I think I'm okay pre-ordering it, but most of the time I definitely wouldn't pre-order. Generally speaking, I think pre-ordering is it's a big gamble on the part of the consumer, and Fallout is, again, they've been really upfront with it, so I feel like it's not as big a gamble with this. All right, let's talk about the graphics. So a lot of people were really kind of underwhelmed by the graphics when it was first revealed. A lot of people were saying that like the dog looked like plastic and stuff like that. To me, and again, I touched on this in my Honest Thoughts video on the subject, but to me the graphics didn't look really bad, honestly. I guess part of it is because I wasn't super into Fallout 3. I'm not as familiar with it, so I guess I don't notice as little of a jump. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, the graphics look perfectly fine. I think that they actually look pretty nice, and more importantly, it's a realistic depiction of the game. Again, just talking about how Bethesda's been so upfront with the way that they've been handling this launch. I really appreciate that we're getting a realistic depiction of what we're going to be buying and paying for.
They said this is what it's going to look like. That's final.
Exactly.
Apparently, and so, that's cool of them at least to say that and not to try and kind of gloss it over and pretend that it's going to be prettier than it is. But I did play Fallout 3, New Vegas, and a little bit of the older ones. I've never gone through them. But anyway, I can see that there's been an upgrade. It definitely has. Some of the lighting, you can just tell, is a little nicer.
I feel like the physics probably
some of the textures,
better, yeah.
I'm sure the physics are going to be better. I'd hope so, and I'd hope there's a little less lag during certain actions. But that's, now we're getting into the engine and less the graphics. But yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm not a major graphics guy anyway.
Yeah.
As long as the game performs well, it's going to be fun. It's got all of those models, all those great details. It's still going to feel like the Fallout universe, and that's what really matters to me.
Spoken like a true retro gamer, yeah?
Yeah.
So I've been mentioning this a lot. Bethesda's presentation and just their overall, how they're handling the launch. Since I've been kind of giving my opinions about that this entire time through, what are some of your thoughts on that?
I really liked the long presentation from E3, and just the way they kind of went through everything methodically, and like you said, being upfront about it.
Post E3, what are some of your thoughts, like, lately,
Well, really, I don't like to spoil things too much, so I'll get a little bit of news on these things up front as soon as it hits. But I like to wait to see a lot of things once I've kind of gauged the quality of the product, the game in this case. I like to wait to see all the nitty-gritty details until it hits, and then things are surprising and fresh and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that my opinions have really changed since then. I do like the release of the special videos.
I was going to comment.
Yeah,
on
I think that's a really cool thing that they've done. Obviously, it says nothing about the game. It's just them kind of sharing their imagination with us, and I think they're really well done, and I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I'm really. You said about the special videos. I'm really enjoying those. I like them because they're kind of like and it all works again into how they're handling this whole launch. It's nice because it's kind of like almost like a counter, like it's 1 week each until Fallout is released. Right. So we have 3 weeks left. On that level, it just works really well. And I do like the way that they're made. It kind of lends itself really well to just what they're going for with the universe and what they've established with the universe. That whole 1950s esque sort of feel and vibe, but in kind of like an apocalyptic setting. I think that these videos really are helping with that. So here's an interesting idea. In the E3 footage, a lot of people have sat down and really just analyzed the crap out of this footage. the sole survivor getting into a vertebrate with dog meat, and
yeah, and I missed that for some reason. I missed it. I was rewatching some videos, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, how did I miss that before?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So some people are thinking that this is going to mean vehicles in Fallout. Do you think that that's going to happen? And if so, how do you think that would affect gameplay, like, or just the feel of the game itself?
So it looks like that was triggered by an item, right? He throws out the smoke signal, and then the vertibird comes and picks him up. So it looks like, to me, at the very least, you'll be able to go maybe from settlement to settlement using that. Maybe you can just get picked up anywhere as long as you're probably out of combat, I would assume.
Yeah.
And
How
maybe
cool-
even
how
if you
cool- I was
are,
gonna say,
yeah.
How cool would it be if they could
Like,
just pick you up in the middle of
oops, I
combat?
just walked into a Deathclaw nest, so
guys, help.
let me
Yeah.
escape. Yeah.
That would have that would be such a good layer. It would just tension,
Yeah, that adds a lot, because then you were lucky enough to have gotten that one smoke signal. Maybe you looted it off of a guy or something.
And now you have to try and survive long enough in an area that you aren't supposed to be able to make it in to try and get out.
Yeah, I
you
think
know?
that'd be awesome. I hope
Yeah.
that's the case.
That would be able to make good video gaming stories. You know, yeah. In general, in a Bethesda game, I'm not sure about the idea of just full-on vehicles. Like, I wouldn't want to be driving a car in a game where I'm supposed to be walking around and exploring. You know, I wouldn't want to be really even riding something like a motorcycle or something like that. The closest thing to vehicles that I've ever seen in Bethesda games are the horses in the Elder Scrolls series, and I don't even use those for the same reason.
Well, they kind of suck.
Well, that too. Ultimately, I feel like it wouldn't happen to that degree. I think that the way that you're describing it is something that could work out really well and be really cool, but I don't think that it could be like a cheat, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was a cheat, that would almost kind of undermine, a Bethesda game. Like, what makes a Bethesda game a Bethesda game? I wouldn't want that to happen. So,
Yeah.
I don't want cars, but I don't mind the vertibird.
So I was wondering to myself, they said that you can set up Brahmin caravans. So it might be a cool atmospheric thing, not very exciting at all, but fun if you could ride with the caravan.
That would
And,
be cool.
there you go. You're just riding, watching your character kind of spacing out and just
And then you
enjoying
just,
the
skip it
scenery.
eventually, yeah.
And maybe you guys get attacked or something. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
No idea if that's in there, but
Or maybe you have to defend the caravans.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I'm sure that'll be a mission somewhere.
So we talked about the special videos. So touching on that, the skill tree. Evidently, from what I can pick up on, there has been a lot of change with the skill tree. At least what we know so far, or at least what it looks like it's going to be. What are some of your thoughts on the skill tree?
I actually haven't looked into that. So, but it's not something that's going to bother me if they do change it.
Yeah.
There was nothing
Wrong with
There was
it, I
nothing
guess?
wrong with it the way it was, but there was also nothing to be a diehard about. It's just a typical RPG skill tree.
I think of Skyrim when I think of Bethesda changing stats and stuff like that. Because if you remember when that came out, it was kind of controversial having the whole constellation thing. Yeah, people just kind of wanted to be able to pick their class and set things.
Yeah, I found it a little awkward.
I mean,
But it wasn't a killer.
But see, when I played it, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it just worked really well. So I think I trust Todd Howard. I think I trust his studio. I think I trust Bethesda in general, just with their ability to make systems that work and that work well. And I'm not at all afraid of the skill system being, butchered or having problems. I think that at the very worst, maybe we'll be wanting it to be a little bit more. Maybe we'll wish it was a bit bigger. But I don't even think that. I think I trust it.
Yeah, I do too. And like I said, as long as it works, as long as it's fun, that's what matters to me. It's all about the mechanics.
Yeah. Speaking of mechanics, Mr. Customization over here, the weapon customization.
That looks sick.
Doesn't it? I am so excited for that. Well, again, I've touched on a lot of this. What are some of your thoughts?
So, I am a hoarder in RPGs. Especially in the Bethesda games, I go for max strength so I can carry around as much stuff as possible. So I'm glad that more of it's going to be useful, so that the stuff that I accidentally pick up, or that I pick up thinking it's going to be useful, or that duct tape. I guess we use that a little bit in Vegas, but I'm glad that all of that seems to be more useful now.
Everything's actually going to have a point and a purpose for being there.
And so I can actually put that habit of mine to good use and maybe kind of empty out my inventory in the
At
process.
the same time, yeah. That's a good point. You'll pick up like all this garbage and be like, oh, now I just gotta toss all this. That can then be
Oh wait,
traded
what
for
can I
something.
make out of
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
and then you can feel like rewarded for having picked up all this, useless junk. I kind of wonder, like, at one point they were showing like, like with toy cars, you'd be able to get screws and stuff like that. I kind of wonder how deep that's gonna be. Like, would I be able to get wood from the wheels or rubber from the wheels?
No.
Or, how deep would that go, or is each item just gonna be specifically this is just screws?
Yeah, probably one thing I would say, because it's going to be complicated enough.
Yeah.
That can be very taxing on the engine, to have
True.
all of those tiny items flying around all over the place. So I would imagine not more than one part for something like a car. Maybe two things. I don't know, out of something larger like a.
I think 3 would be a good.
Yeah, 3 is the magic number, but I don't know. I wouldn't expect more than 1.
Yeah. That would be really cool, I think, if you could just literally make it like Indian style, just use every little thing. Yeah. And be able to be rewarded even further for that.
We'll drink dog blood to stay hydrated.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
kind of thing.
And another reference to Skyrim, it kind of makes me think of like the Hearthfire DLC. You probably never played it.
I never got it, no.
It was basically like build a house, right?
Right, I understand.
But go and get like resources, and it worked this kind of on the same lines. Like you could like go get like iron and make nails out of that, and you'd have to like get lumber and just stuff like that. And that kind of makes me wonder, like, is this going to become like a staple in Bethesda games? Because if
probably
on some level it was able to work in Skyrim before, now we're seeing it go full throttle for Fallout. Are we going to see that happen with Elder Scrolls?
I would imagine they'll just keep iterating on that and keep adding to it.
I would hope so. Along the same lines as customization, the character creator. One little thing I'll throw out about the character creator, it kind of reminds me of like Super Mario 64, like pulling Mario's nose and stuff like that. I kind of wonder if they got the idea from that. But what are some of your thoughts about how it worked?
When I first saw that, I was thinking about EVE Online, because when they added their character creator for a completely different purpose, it pretty much works that way.
Yeah.
So you mouse over a section of the face, it highlights, the eyebrow or whatever, and then you pull it in the direction that you want it to, or, some things you can rotate, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminded me of. And I wouldn't be surprised if they know about that, and that's kind of what they were going for.
They get a lot of inspiration from just a lot of other sci-fi
Yeah.
things in general, movies and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Like, do you think it's going to work super well?
I'm sure it will. Yeah, I think that's something that they can do fairly easily, and then do it well.
Yeah. I'm pretty big when it comes to character creation in video games. I really enjoy making a character, and I really enjoy getting to make different characters, and just, I guess it's the writer in me. I like being able to flesh out what it could look like in my mind and match a personality to it.
Have some more ownership.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm really wanting to see how well it's going to work, and I have, again, this is one of the things about this game, one of the changes I'm seeing that I really have some confidence in. I'm a very narrative-driven person when it comes to my games. It's no coincidence that the character customization, as well as the voice protagonist, are the two things that I'm fully confident on with this. I think those two things, if they work the way that I think that they're going to end up working, will be more than enough to keep me immersed, and that's what's important. At the end of the day, games are about immersion. So as long as you can stay invested, then it's a good game. And that leads perfectly into our last little point. What type of character do you think you're going to be playing as?
I always have to go for a hero first.
Of course.
So my guys, I always keep them on a straight and narrow. Try not to steal, try not to murder, stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'll go off on one of those paths. I'll usually create an alternate save to do that, because I just like to keep them pristine if I can. But sometimes I'm just too curious about what's in that chest, or what is this guy carrying? Can I pickpocket him, or whatever? And like I mentioned to you the other day, it is kind of fun every once in a while to see what somebody's carrying, and then if they've got a weapon,
go
kill them with it. So that's my bad side.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can expect me to go heroic. What are you gonna do?
For me, I always tend to make different ones, but the one that I always kind of connect and relate with more, and the one I usually do first, he's kind of like my noble thief, I call him.
Okay.
It kind of comes from just me being something of a sarcastic, trickster-ish kind of person in real life. The way he would work is like he's I would always have him kind of stealthy, sneaking, charismatic, and I would have him be super sarcastic and kind of be a prick to people. But at the end of the day, he's moral, so he would still make the right decisions, and he would still be like, he would still play the hero and keep people safe. But he would also just kind of roll his eyes at stuff, and he would be blunt about things, and he would maybe not mind taking a thing or two, you know. And then outside of that, I always like to make like a really awesome female character, just because there's so much fun to like design and to make in the character creators, and it's fun to like put a cool personality behind them. And that one can always either be just basically the same as the male, or it can be a total villain. And then I usually do go for the total villain too. I like to make the total villain just to kind of explore the opposite side, away from everything I do. My first playthrough is what I would do in that situation, and then after that it's just whatever I can experiment with.
Yeah, I think if I had all the time in the world, I would probably go for all the different paths. But usually, by the time you finish a game like this, it's you had time for that one playthrough, and that's about it.
Or if you're like me and you just spend a lot of extra time on this stuff anyway. That's why we have our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so, quick little extra thing that I have set up for TJ. He doesn't really know much about this.
Okay.
A little segment, extra segment to this extra segment that I'm going to be calling True or False. Nice and simple title.
True.
False. Wrong. In this segment, I'll basically be making a little quiz for TJ, 7 questions, and he has to guess or just try and answer correctly if the statement or the question is true or false. And there's not really a reward or anything like that outside of just the sense of pride in being a true fan. With this one specifically, obviously, it's about Fallout lore. If you watched my Honest Thoughts video, you'll know that I'm not exactly a Fallout veteran, and TJ is. So it would seem he's at an advantage.
Well, this guy does his homework.
Got to say, I've been doing studying.
I skip dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm a dialogue skipper.
See, I've been studying because I've actually been preparing for this game, trying to get myself as familiar with the universe as I can. Shout out to Shoddycast. I've been watching their Storyteller series. I'm very knowledgeable about this now.
All right.
And so I think I managed to put together a nice little quiz.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
Without further ado, here we go. All right. First question. The Brotherhood of Steel are the only ones with power armor in the Fallout universe post-war. True or false?
False.
Are you sure about that?
I am sure.
Okay. Well, you are correct.
I know.
Yes, that was an easy one. I specifically went in order. False. The Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, and the NCR all possess power armor at one point or another. However, outside of a few powerful factions such as these, power armor is very hard to come by in the Fallout universe.
Right, I know.
All right. So, and I did put together a little key. That's why I'm flipping around pages. Question number 2.
Okay.
You'll probably know this one too. Harold started out as a ghoul with a twig growing out of his head. True or false?
False.
Sure.
No. But that's still my answer.
You're wrong. That is true.
Ah.
Yep. Harold. You remember Harold, the character?
Yes,
he's
I
basically that tree guy. That's essentially all he is.
Yes.
Harold's a very old ghoul who had a tree grow out of his head as part of his mutation. He traveled the wasteland for a very long time until the tree grew large enough to encase his entire body and take root. And now he stands unable to wander anymore.
But people like him a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, we worship that guy.
Well, at one point he was actually mayor of the town. Question 3. Deathclaws are a mutation of Jackson's chameleons created through genetic engineering of DNA that included various other DNA species. True or false?
This one's a big guess, so I'm gonna say true.
You're correct. All right.
Complete guess.
Deathclaws were initially created by the military to replace soldiers on the front lines. This is during the Great War. They are the result of genetic alterations on Jackson chameleons and also have the DNA of several other species. Due to this genetic alteration, Deathclaws have lost their ability to change color.
Okay, well, that was kind of a fail, wasn't it?
Yeah, they lost their ability to do that, but they gained the ability to kill everything. Yeah.
Right.
Question 4. Centaurs, despite looking like humans, are actually not derived from humans, but instead from seals, primates, and spiders exposed to radiation. True or false?
I'm calling false on that one. Feels like a trap.
You're correct.
Okay.
Centaurs are a result of a varied mix of humans, dogs, and other animals being exposed to the forced evolutionary virus that created the super mutants. They were essentially test subjects created by the Master in his attempts to breed perfect super mutants.
Okay.
They're used as watchdogs by the super mutants.
And they're disgusting.
Yes, they are. I hate those things. Question 5. The New California Republic, or NCR, has its roots from Vault City. True or false?
False.
Wow. Congratulations. True. Or no, you're correct. You're correct. False. The NCR can trace its roots back to the small town of Shady Sands, which itself was founded by the inhabitants of Vault 15. Vault City was founded by the inhabitants of Vault 8. So, very good. You're looking at these, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
No.
Just realized that you can look at these. This one's not really Fallout lore. This one's just more like a fun fact. So you're a lot less likely to know this one.
Okay.
Fallout was not originally owned by Bethesda. True or false?
That is true.
Very good.
That one I know for sure. Yeah.
You're good.
Interplay.
Fallout was originally produced by Interplay Entertainment. Yep, that's right. And the first 2 games in the franchise were developed by Black Isle Studios. However, in 2004, Interplay closed Black Isle Studios and eventually wound up selling the franchise to Bethesda due to financial issues, as well as selling a lot more of its intellectual properties. Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yes.
All right, and the final question. Vaults were used for experimentation on human sociality. Sociality, is that a word?
Social. You're making me blank on it.
Socializing. We're gonna keep that.
Sociology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got that figured out.
All right.
Vaults were used for experimentation on human sociology. In one case in particular, humans were made to marry animals to see the effects it would have on their psyches collectively. True or false?
That's a hard one because I want to say false, but this is a Fallout game. I'm going to say true.
All right. You are wrong. Although human social experiments, along with other kinds of experiments, were conducted on inhabitants of many of the vaults, this particular experiment was not conducted.
Through the line, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Although it would have fit in perfectly with some of the other experiments that were conducted, including isolating a man underground with a box of puppets, making a population of only one female and several males, and vice versa, and forcing people to vote once a year for someone to be executed, so on and so forth. Vault Tech is really screwed up. All right, so that was it. That was our first installment of What's Up, Bro? Hope you liked it. Let us know in the comments how many of those questions, if you were playing along, you got right. And let us know what some of your thoughts are down below.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for watching this first installment. We enjoyed doing it. We hope you enjoyed watching it.
We're going to be doing plenty more.
As always, I'm TJ.
And I'm Charles C. Patterson. And
we'll see you next time on Operation Cleverbox.